slides, but let's go ahead and get started. I'm not able to, there we go, switch it back. I want to welcome all to our COVID-19 Business Series, our webinar session 2 that's hosted by the Greater San Marcos Partnership. Right now, we're going to turn this over to Jason Giulietti, who is joining us now. Briefly, Jason, if you'd like to give the folks a welcome.
Sure, and good morning, everyone, and thank you, as well as thank you to our speakers for joining us today. We very much appreciate you taking the time to share your expertise with our business community here in Hays and Caldwell County. And welcome to all of our guests. Thank you for joining this webinar series and appreciate your participation. So we're very excited to bring you this webinar. Our intent here is to help you through the COVID-19 issues and challenges to your business, to you individually, to your workforce needs in the future, and certainly do all we can to help you be resilient, which is the theme of today's program. So you will find a myriad of resources at your availability here to learn from, hopefully gain some additional expertise and new resources that can help you through this challenging time. So we appreciate you taking the time again today, and Barbara, thank you for leading this effort, and look forward to a great program. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you for being with us. I'm Barbara Thomason. I'm the Director of Workforce Development, Business Retention and Expansion, which means I'm responsible for supporting the development of the current and future workforce of Hays and Caldwell counties, and for ensuring our business community enjoys a healthy economic environment in which to do business. And I am joined today by Ms. Katie Haar, who serves the partnership as a project manager, and today is our technical producer. So Katie, would you give everyone a wave?
Hello, everyone.
So if I holler Katie, you know I'm having some technical issues. I wanted to go over with you our remaining 2 sessions today. A week from today, we have session 3, which will provide for us our support systems in Hays and Caldwell counties. So we'll hear from our chambers, our EDOs, our Main Street organizations, and a week later, creative capacity building, which will be a very enjoyable session where we'll hear from the co-owner of Splash, as well as angel funding. We're going to learn how that works with Michael Camerlander from the Lockhart Economic Development Partnership. So please plan to register and be with us for those sessions. I want to share with you how we're going to handle Q&A today. There is a Q&A dialog box where you can pose a question. You will see the question if it's answered. You can ask questions throughout the session. And you should see your question answered, providing there's time, by the presenter or by Katie or I. If you don't get your question answered, or if you happen to think of one later on, we're going to provide the presenter's contact information at the end of this presentation so that you can reach out to them afterward and pose your question then. So whatever your need, you should be able to find out what you need to find out. I really wanted to call today's session Show Me the Money, but instead we chose the more appropriate name, Business Resiliency. So we have a tremendous lineup of presenters today. And Katie, I cannot get my slides to change for some reason. I don't know if you can.
Let me go ahead and try.
There we go. There are our presenters. We have a tremendous lineup of presenters today. And we want to get you thinking about your options, primarily your financial options, because during this COVID crisis, we've had a lot of need. And today, our first presenter is going to be Mr. Rex Steele. He's a certified advisor with the Small Business Development Center at Texas State University. This is his 3rd assignment. He's been at numerous SBDC centers. He holds a Master's of Science degree in Engineering Management and Technology and an MBA from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. He is also a U.S. veteran and served his time in the U.S. Navy. His areas of expertise include strategic management, process lean practices, manufacturing and service companies, real estate, and construction and development, just to name a few. So we're pleased to bring you in, Rex. If you would please go ahead and share with us your slides and your presentation.
Thank you, Barbara. Let me see if I can do this without messing up too much. Hello, everybody. Glad you're with us today. We are in trying times at this point. A lot of business owners out there, as they should be, are kind of confused on where we are and where we're going. And hopefully I can answer some of those questions today, talking about PPP, which has been a big part of helping businesses survive on short notice. As you can see here, they have reopened. You may already be aware of this. As of on July 6th, they had shut it down a while on the PPP program and decided to open it back up for a lot of the businesses that have not been able to apply at this point. But be aware that the new deadline is now set for August 8th. After August 8th, you won't be able to apply for this PPP program in itself. I have possibly more details coming up later on in the slides that could kind of let you know about what might be going on in the future as well. Any part of a loan that may have been unforgiven is going to be at a 1% interest rate. And if you received your loan before June 5th, you have a maturity of 2 years to pay that back. If you received your loan after June 5th, it's a maturity of 5 years. Now, just to let you know, I've talked to several banks already, and they have indicated that if you're on this 2-year program, you can request to be on the 5-year loan amount. With that said, I've also gotten feedback from some banks that they may not warrant that because it's not cost effective for them to carry a 1% loan. So it's going to be determined by your bank that you got your PPP from, but depending on the amount of loan it is, you may want to seek on trying to put it on a 5-year plan instead of a 2-year plan. Because regardless, this is an SBA loan and it has to be paid back. And the first year is held back to where you don't have to pay on it. And so that only gives you 1 year to pay off the loan on a 2-year loan basis. So you got to keep that in mind as well. Loan payments are deferred for 6 months, meaning that once it turns into a loan, your 6 months starts at that point. And then it's deferred for 6 months, then you start paying on it. And just in case you're worried about if there's enough money out there, they have $126.5 billion left in the PPP fund. So that would take care of me, you, and a few other people in town. I don't think we're going to have a problem right there. The way it had slowed down before is the reason why that it's got so much money left over in this. And a lot of people started complaining because they felt like they didn't have enough time or they wasn't situated enough in their business to be apply for it if they should apply for it. And so Congress was able to come back out and reopen it back up. And since there's plenty of money already available, put the time frame up till August 8th to reapply for that right there. So, you know, don't forget, this is unforgivable money. I'm sorry, this is forgivable money, much like a grant, as long as you partake in what the criteria is. And I've had several businesses that have spent some of that money on things they probably shouldn't have. So we've got to work with them on how to work around that because, and I'll get into that more later, but, you know, working with government contracting and government loans and stuff, you have to stay within their boundaries or else they can penalize you pretty severely. Not only that, but these penalties can also keep you from obtaining an SBA loan later in the future if you need to grow your business. That's why it's critically important to stay within the guidelines. Who can apply? Well, just about everybody in business can apply. There's no really extra large businesses out there that can apply for it. But here's something that I've encountered several times. This third line right here, sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed persons. These folks, a lot of these folks didn't realize that they could apply for PPP. A lot of folks don't realize that they say, well, I don't have any employees, so I can't apply for it. The government sees you as an owner, as an employee of your company. So yes, you can apply for it. I've had lots of businesses that are self-employed and they have applied and they have received funding for it as well. You cannot, as an owner of a company, cannot count your independent contractors, your 1099s. They can do it themselves, but you cannot put them down as an employee for your company if they're 1099s. That's critically important. Be careful not to do that. Self-employed persons as well can apply for it. They have really made this pretty lenient about who can apply for these PPP loans. The difference is based upon what your income were, what your tax returns, your previous year income is determining on how much money you actually get. That's all determined by the banks. They have control over that. And then there's other businesses, nonprofit centers that can apply for it, veteran organizations, a lot of Indian tribes can apply for it. They've opened this up to a lot of opportunities for business, but I have seen where businesses that took it out on cash didn't show it in their tax returns or their financial statements or turned down. And then they had a problem with it, so I didn't get any money from it. This is all government driven, so it's based upon your documents, your tax forms, and stuff that you file in order for you to be able to get these loans. And I'm a big advocate to make sure that you show all your income, all your expenses, and your net profits in order to be able to get government loans in the future to help grow your business. I'm all about growth in businesses, but you got to show a trend that your business is growing in order for banks and SBA to be able to loan you that money. That's something that I work with a lot of my companies to understand that, yeah, you know, my father owned his own business and he was big in trying to hide all the money that he could. But it makes a big difference when you go ask for a loan and you're not showing anything on a net profit line. How are you going to pay back that loan is going to be the question they come back with. So I always find it very important to show all your money, show your net profit, grow your business, and it'll be more advantageous for your company up the road. The loan forgiveness criteria has been modified. It started out at 75% minimum for payroll and 25% for non-payroll. They readjusted it because they realized at the time that it was too much, you know, based on how they cut, depending on the number of hours on the part-time employees and stuff like that. They wasn't able to reach that 75% level. So they cut it back to 60%, which has been very advantageous. Now, once again, let me iterate that this is government, this is SBA loans, and they're going to need proof from you on how this money was spent. So we need a paper trail. The banks are going to require paper trails from you, and these are just some of the examples of the paper trail. When we say 60% on payroll, that's a minimum of 60%. If you want to put 100% into the payroll, that's totally okay. Just needs to be a 60% payroll. If it's under 60%, then some of that money is going to have to go into the non-unforgivable part, and you'll have to pay back on it as a loan. But your bank statements, these are documents that you may want to get ahead of time prepared. Bank statements showing when these payrolls took place. Make sure that these payrolls took place during that timeline that you acquired the loan itself. Not before, not after, but during that same timeline. Payroll processing records, proof of employee payments, your payroll tax filings, 941s, copies of that, copy of your state and local taxes. Same thing on your non-payroll of the 40%. You're limited on what this money can be spent on. You can't buy assets with this money. You can spend on the interest of a mortgage. Once again, you need to show receipts, canceled checks, amortization schedule, paper trails validating that the money that was spent on this mortgage interest is valid. Rent, copy of the lease, receipts, canceled checks, utilities, invoices, bills starting February 2020, canceled checks, account statements. They want to see what your normal utility bills are to make sure you're not asking or paying out more money than what they actually are. That's one of the ways the government's double check themselves to make sure everything is valid on the up and up. I have seen cases historically where companies utilize the money in a non-proper way, and got some serious penalties laid up against them, to include not being able to use government funding again for any future loans as well, and penalties and interest and things of that nature as well. So I emphasize the importance to stay within the guidelines on how this money is being used. Keep in mind, the primary issue of this PPP plan is to help pay your employees, help pay for some of the rent and utilities, to keep the company afloat and keep the employees with money coming in to help them out during this time of crisis. Audit risk. Here's the part. I've also worked with PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center, on government contracting. So I know how tough the government can be when they do their audits. They at any time can review at their discretion your books. If you receive an amount over $2 million, you will be audited. That's already a guarantee that they have put out. The odds are of you getting audited under that amount are pretty slim, unless they see a discrepancy somewhere that's way out there. But you still want to be prepared for a potential audit. I try to teach my clients that, always look at worst case scenario and be prepared for it. Because if you can resolve the worst case scenario, you can resolve most other problems that come up. Important part right here, borrowers are required to hold on to their documentation in connection to the SBA loans for 6 years. I know it sounds like a long time, but sometimes it takes the government a long time to get to the point they want to get to, and they're still going to hold you accountable for it. 6 years is how long you need to hold this for. File it away, stick it on that top shelf, whatever it takes. Just hold on to it, because you are going to have to prove it and validate it, just like if it was an IRS audit. Once again, responsibility and liability connected to improper use of funding carries penalties and falls on the business owner. Not the bank, but you as the business owner. You are responsible for the information and how the money is used, and information that's validated. The banks will run their audit system through it to make sure that they feel comfortable that it is accurate, and the SBA will hold the banks responsible if they find fault with it as well on their side of it, but they still come back and hold you responsible if they find you in default in any way. So don't mess with the government. That's what I tell folks. Don't mess with IRS, don't mess with the government, because they can make your life miserable, especially as a business owner. Things are hard enough. I've owned 3 businesses, sold them all out. I know how things can get tough, trust me. PPP loan extension updates. As a lot of you probably know, the loan forgiveness period extended to 24 weeks or December 31st, whichever comes first. Let's talk about that just for a second. A lot of you probably was on an 8-week program, and I checked in with some banks, and they proclaimed that it will automatically turn into the 24-week. But unless you decided that you wanted the 8-week program, and go ahead and ask for forgiveness during that 8-week program. If it's exceeded past the 8 weeks, it's most likely turned into the 24 weeks. But I recommend that you touch base with your bank and validate that you are on that 24-week period. Several banks have told me it's automatic, but I have had a couple banks say that they have to request that. So every bank is a little bit different, so you really need to check back in with your bank to validate that you are on that 24-week period. During that time frame, you also have to be sure to restore staffing or salary levels that were previously reduced, but you have up till December 31st to make that happen, okay? Because they expect you to replace the people or make sure that the salary's been replaced up to that point that they were making before. There is a 25% discount, you might say, that they allow, but that still can affect your overall forgiveness loan part during the configuration of it. 5 years fights the 2-year long-term banks. Once again, the banks can allow longer term if required before June 5th. I checked with a couple of banks, and they were skeptical about wanting to grow it into a 5-year term, because that's only a 1% loan, and that's not cost effective for banks to have to deal with for 5 years on a 1% loan. So there may be some banks out there that might turn you down going to the 5-year program. Once again, check with your banks, validate what they're willing to do. Borrowers that don't apply for forgiveness would be given at least 10 months after the program expires to start making their payments. Let's say it went past 8 weeks or 24 weeks or whatever, and you didn't ask for forgiveness, you automatically turn it into a loan at that point, and then the program starts at least 10 months after that to start making your payments and stuff. There are a lot of small type loans out there, but there are some big loans as well. Excuse me. And so it's important to stay on top of this. Check yourself, make sure that everything's covered, make sure you got your paper trails in line, and make sure you have that communication set up with your banker. I know some of the bigger banks are hard to work with. I had a client yesterday I was talking to, they've been trying to get in touch with Wells Fargo. No one wants to talk to them. They won't steer them in the right direction. They're telling them just to hold on to things right now. There's potential changes coming up. So it's kind of leaving folks out there in limbo a little bit. But keep in mind, you are responsible for this loan. So it's up to you to follow up and make sure you're on top of things before it comes back and hits you on the other side. We don't want that to happen. Easy forgiveness application. Currently, there are 2 applications out there. There's a long form of application, and there's what's called an easy forgiveness application. I've reviewed both of these applications. You can get it online. You can look for PPP forgiveness applications, and they'll pop up. These are the criteria for easy forgiveness application. If you are self-employed and have no employees, or did not reduce the salaries or wages of their employees by more than 25% and did not reduce the number of hours, or experienced reductions in business activity as a result of health directives related of COVID-19 and did not reduce the salaries or wages of their employees by more than 25%. I've had several companies already qualify for the easy forgiveness application. And then when they went in to ask for forgiveness, this is what happened. A lot of banks are telling everybody to hold on right now. The Congress is going through some changes, and the banks are expecting them to come out with new guidelines on a different type of application for forgiveness. The banks want to make sure that they have the most updated guidelines in order before they start receiving forgiveness applications from the clients. I find this to be value added. That way we don't have to go through this twice. You fill this out and want to send it in. They come back and say, well, we have a new form for you. One of the good things I'm hearing coming out from the banks is that they may have, for under, I think around $150 million, that's just hearsay for right now for what we're hearing from up in DC, that it's an automatic forgiveness. That would be awesome. Automatic and or maybe a one-pager of some sort, just signing off that you comply with everything. That would be awesome. And that would make life a whole lot simpler for a whole lot of businesses out there. That could be advantageous. Also, they're looking at starting up another PPP program later after this one, and it will allow companies to go back in and reapply for a second PPP program. Right now, you can apply as many times as you want, but you can only accept one PPP loan, okay? But if this comes through, you will be able to apply for another PPP round as a second PPP funding, and that would be good as well. Don't forget, this is just a Band-Aid to help support keeping your business alive, keeping your employees paid, keeping them on board, because it's really, really difficult to find sharp employees that's already been well-trained, understand your business inside and out. It's cost savings for you where you don't have to train other employees that's new coming on board and all the issues that come with that. So this is very advantageous to take advantage of in itself. We hope to hear about this within the next month. That's what the banks are telling me. And as soon as that comes out, it should be on the news. It should be on Facebook and other internet type functions. The SBDC through the SBA have received a bunch of money to develop what's called recovery accelerators. We are setting up functions within our organizations. What a recovery accelerator is, anybody that has any questions on the PPPs or EDILs or EIDLs or the any questions on the applications for forgiveness, whatever else, we're setting these centers up for you to contact. Currently, our regional office in San Antonio is currently now set up to receive questions or by either email or by phone. And here is the phone number for San Antonio. My office out of Austin has hired 3 people and will be training them quickly to become recovery accelerators as well. And they will be working directly with PPP applicants in their businesses based on this alone, not other type of business functions, but just for the PPP functions itself. One thing for sure that has always been a definite, the government's always changing guidelines. They're always changing the rules on us. And so we have to be able to adapt to what those new programs are, and it can get confusing. We're trying to take that confusing parts out and make it as easy for you as we can and be there for you when you need us. And as soon as we get our program up in Austin, we'll be putting it on our website for contact information as well, which we're expecting within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And that pretty much covers it, Barbara.
Great, thank you, Rex. I put a question in the chat, if you could answer that just real quickly.
Sure. Oh, I gotta stop share. Wait a minute.
No, that's okay, I'll take over.
Okay.
Or actually, Carleton will. Do you see my question?
No.
Okay.
Question is, can you elaborate on restoring staffing or salary levels by December 31st? For example, one could have half the staff with double the salary and this qualifies, and it does not need to be the same people or positions, right?
I'm reading it down. No, actually, from information that I have received, they want the same number of employees at the same salary that they had before the PPP took place. That's their biggest thing. If you pay them more, that's up to you. But they're wanting the same number of employees, and there are safe harbors for that. And I'll read you a few of them right here. Full-time employee safe harbor allows business owners to avoid penalties for non-returning employees if they document and justify unfilled positions due to 1, employee refusing to return when written offer provided. Now, you also got to make sure you get their signatures saying that they refuse to come back. Paper trail has got to be 100% complete on this. Number 2, fired for just cause. And I've already run across that, and I have seen employees fired for just cause. That's fine, as long as that just cause is a valid just cause. If an employee resigns, once again, document that they resigned on their own appeal, and that they get their signature on that to show that proof to the government that they resigned on their own. The 24-week option requires documented attempt to rehire and fill those positions. But that's the safe harbor in case you can't. But they are expecting you to replace the total number of full-time employees that you had at the full pay that they had before the COVID PPP program got started. I hope that answered it.
Thank you, Rex. And thank you so much for that very thorough presentation and that recovery service that you all are going to be providing San Antonio and then eventually Austin. That's going to be tremendous help. So we are fortunate to have yet another resource for business counseling with SCORE, which utilizes both employed and retired executives to guide entrepreneurs and business builders to reach their full potential. We have with us today Mr. Carleton Smith, who's District Director for the Central Texas District of SCORE, and he's a 15-year SCORE veteran. Carleton retired after 40 years with the Fortune 500 as Vice President of Worldwide Sales and Marketing, and he's known for his business turnaround skills. Please join me in welcoming Carleton Smith.
Thank you very much. Let me see if I can get up to my presentation here. There we go. And all right, one more click here. All right. Well, again, Barbara, thank you so much, and everybody involved in putting this together. It's really very important and very, very timely to help people, get started and, make sure that they've got all the resources and things that they need to keep their business going. So let me tell you just a little bit about SCORE. Whoops, I want to go back just one. There we go. SCORE has been around since 1964. We're a resource partner with the Small Business Administration. And likewise, over the years, we've helped about 11 million people start businesses and grow businesses. And we want to make sure that the small business communities, get all their support and so on through our mentoring and education and workshops. And, what we really thrive on, I tell people that I've been doing this now for almost 16 years. And so far, I've gotten a couple of plaques and a couple of certificates. We don't get paid any money whatsoever. We are strictly volunteers. And what we get out of this is being able to help people start a business and build a successful business. We enjoy that a great deal. And I'm with the Central Texas SCORE District. We likewise have chapters throughout Texas. We have 300 of them nationwide. We have over 10,000 volunteers nationwide, and you can get to any and all of them by going to score.org and putting in a request for a mentor. We help people in the following manner. We provide free business advice and mentoring. Now you can come see us if you're a small business owner or you want to start a business. You can come see us one time, 100 times or more, and it's free. Price is right. We offer about 160 workshops a year. Most of them right now, obviously, are online, and they're either no cost or very low cost. And we likewise provide via our websites, score.org, for example, a ton of templates and resources and so on. And I'm going to talk about some of those today, because I think it's important that people know that there are things there that exist that can help them during this very, very trying times. And again, the price is right. All those resources are basically free. Small businesses, have to be resilient. You have to have the courage to adapt and the strength to succeed. And, we know that, people I talk to about 5 or 6 clients a week. And here in the Austin chapter, for example, we've got 100 volunteers, and we'll talk to almost 3,000 clients per year. And so we know they're going through lots of issues. And again, we want to help them and help them grow. And so kind of what's the worst thing that's happened to you? The business, was it the catalyst to unlock your courage again? Because let me tell you, again, it's unusual, tough times. And again, in some cases, it's a chance to grow stronger, be more agile and so on. And it's being creative. And so we want you to do more than survive. We want you to actually thrive. And to help you do that, here's what we're doing. Because, most of us are on some sort of lockdown. We've been here at our office. We only have one office in the area at this point. And guess what? I've been in it about 2 or 3 times in the last 4 or 5 months, and we're not using it. What we're doing is much like this presentation here that Barbara put together. We're doing our mentoring now via either Zoom or Google Hangouts or Google Meet. And that way you don't have to get into traffic. You don't have to get in with a whole lot of people. You're in your own facility, and we can handle it by video. We can do phone, we can do email. And if you want to do that, here's the link to click on to sign up and request a mentor. And again, as I said, we've got a lot of them to look at. There's about 100 of us here in Austin, and I think there's something like 60 in San Antonio, and so on. So a lot of different skill sets, and you can likewise wind up with somebody maybe somewhere else in the nation that's got particular expertise. And, you know, again, they'll come to you via video or email or phone. So again, if you've got questions about your business, hey, what about this and what about that and what do I do and what do you suggest? Look at the free remote mentoring. We likewise have got some training that we think will be very, very beneficial to you. It's on our national website. It's basically designed exactly for this COVID recovery, and it's called Small Business Resiliency Training. And again, it provides and I'll use this term, a ton of different types of materials and workshops free, so that, you know, you can look at a particular problem you've got, go in, search for it. We've probably got some reply in there because there is a great deal of information that will help you. And you can do this in addition to having a mentor work with you and so on. But again, there's a special site there on the SCORE.org site for just small business resiliency training and tools. It's very, very good. There's likewise, I know that Rex was talking about all the things that, you know, that he has with regard to financing and so on. We likewise have a free resource portal, because there are a lot of different organizations providing different functions. What we put together on this free resource portal is, you know, again, whether it's a particular organization or it's a lending organization, whatever it is, there are, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 different things on this particular portal that can tell you about loans and about, you know, financing, where to get special support, how to do this and that and so on. So there's a link. And again, that's the Small Business Resilience Resource Portal. One of the other things that we've got, and you can download this, is one of the things we're looking at, you know, this is not going to go, this COVID-19 is not going to go on forever. I'm almost sure of that. But we have prepared a reopening checklist to ensure that you take into account all the factors that you need to develop a real vibrant, well thought out reopening plan. And so it's a couple of pages long, and it's basically a checklist. And I think you'll find it very helpful. It's just so, you know, I know that many of the people that I work with who are clients and so on go, geez, you know, what do I do? And I talk about making lists. Well, here we've already made the list for you. And so you can go look at it and see how it applies to your business and make sure that you're, you know, doing the things you need to do as you're reopening up your business as we get through COVID-19. And do it now. Don't wait until the last minute. Go ahead and look at it. And again, contact SCORE for mentoring to help you, because again, this is a really, really tough, unusual times. We'll help you with the pandemic problems. We'll help you grow the business. And here's the austin.score.org website. You can go there or to the national score.org site and sign up for mentoring and look at our workshops. All the workshops are listed on our austin.score.org website, in addition to all of those that are on the national website. So give us a call, because SCORE and our tagline is for the life of your business. And we're very serious about that. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Carleton. What a tremendous resource. And I know I've been to the SCORE website, and I don't know that I've ever seen a website that is more equipped for self-service than that one. And of course, when you add that to the wonderful mentors that they prepare to assist businesses, it's a tremendous resource. So thank you. So today we also have Cara DiMattina Ryan, who is the Chief Strategy Officer from Workforce Solutions, Rural Capital Area, who is well known for her expertise in business resiliency. One of Cara's early positions was in Washington, D.C., working in the communications department of the Association for Career and Technical Education. She earned her doctorate in educational leadership, evaluation, and organizational development. And her role today is to enhance the economic development of this region through workforce development. So join me in welcoming Cara.
Hello, and thank you for that great introduction. I do also want to apologize in advance. You might get some background noise. I'm also a mom. It's nap time, so naturally they're not napping. So what I will say is that, the first, we do have, as Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area, we do have a lot of great resources for supporting you. This first one that I'm going to kind of briefly talk about is actually not from us directly. We're supporting an effort done by Hays County, and I know Greater San Marcos Partnership is helping to organize how this fund is distributed. They will be accepting applications beginning August 3rd. And I've put the link on the website, or the link to the application on this form. I don't think the website is quite live yet, but it's meant for small businesses, essentially anyone with under 10 employees. It's 10 and under employees. You receive about $1,000 per employee for this grant. 100,000 of the $600,000 that's available through this money has been donated or has been contributed through Kyle. So that money is established through this. That money will be put aside, especially for Kyle businesses, and it's essentially its designation is to support our small businesses in sustaining their operations through this COVID-19 crisis and helping you guys keep your doors open. We understand how important it is, and it's a difficult time, just as Rex and Carleton have been talking about. So with this in mind, we'll move to some of the funds that Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area has available. And the big one that's being pushed right now is the Skills Development Fund for COVID-19. It's a special training and initiative grant. Right now, our biggest one available is designed for manufacturers through ACC. It's the easiest one to really apply for. If you've ever dealt with the Skills Development Fund in the past, you know it can be a complicated grant to apply for. In the way that it's organized right now, it's actually very simple. So if you are a larger business, this might be the right time for you to explore this as an option. And we will have a webinar specifically about this towards manufacturers later on today, if you're interested in joining us for that. And there is more information available on the website. Essentially, any size business can now apply for it and take advantage of the funds. There's also the Skills for...
Yeah, excuse me. Isn't the webinar at 2 p.m.?
You're right. It is at 2 p.m. I apologize. So correction on that. The other one is the Skills for Small Business Grant. And I highly suggest, because I imagine many of you will, I'm hoping that you'll be taking advantage of the Skills for Small Business Grant in conjunction with talking to your Rex Steele or your Carleton Smith through the SBDC or through SCORE. If you are looking at how to adapt your business model in any way, or maybe train up your employees so that they can be more versatile or agile in this climate, the Skills for Small Business Grant this is the right time to take advantage of it. Essentially, we will pay for, and it's really the Texas Workforce Commission will pay for virtual learning up to $1,800 depending on the circumstances. So as long as you can show that this class will enhance your business, we'll make sure that we can probably pay for it. And of course, there are qualifications that you'll have to go through, but they're very simple and to go through this process, and you'll be approved within 2 weeks. So we definitely want to see these resources combined with the other discussions we have today. We also have 2 other grants available. These are pretty consistent, and I'm throwing them out there, but because I know some of the people on this call are some of our organizational partners, we have the High Demand Job Training Grant and the Texas Industry Partnership Grant. And they're both matching fund grants through your either economic development funds or through private business funds. And as we as a workforce board can match the money to develop and enhance any industry base essentially for training if this is something that we see as a region that really needs to be done. So it's definitely a resource to take advantage of if you're thinking about enhancing an industry base. As we move forward, there are 2 other programs, and I think I'm probably covering some of the projects that you heard on your last call through Diane Tackett, our COO. But I just wanted to make sure you also have these, the layoff aversion and the rapid response. And this is if you do end up deciding with, you know, your SCORE mentor or your SBDC mentor that you know, you just, the first thing that you do is you need to cut some of those employees to stay afloat. We have either shared work programs that can keep your employees on board, but we can pay a portion of the salary potentially. And that is an option to keep things rolling while maybe you're at a deficit with your spending. And then rapid response is when you just can't, it's not reasonable, it's not feasible for you to keep them on board. We can incorporate them into our services right away and help them get transitioned to their next opportunity for employment. And so those strategies are if you just can't find your way forward. And of course we understand. So with that, I would open the floor to questions in terms of how you could use our resources and what you see as what your questions are about how to use our resources essentially.
Okay, well, folks can certainly put those questions in the question box as we proceed. Thank you so much, Cara. We have such a resource in Workforce Solutions. We're going to move on with our 2 regional micro lenders, LiftFund and PeopleFund. And our 2 guests are going to help us understand the parameters for borrowing and how these 2 funds deliver. We're going to lead off with Jonathan Sarabia, loan officer with LiftFund, and then go right into presentation with Katherine Sobel, senior manager of training and education with PeopleFund. So Jonathan, if you would like to start out.
Yes, thank you, Barbara. So I also apologize if there's any background noise. The landscapers decided to start as soon as the Zoom meeting started, so you might hear some buzzing in the background. So I don't have a formal presentation. I really wanted to be here for questions and answers. But first, let me introduce LiftFund. LiftFund is a nonprofit organization that offers access to capital, traditionally through loans. We've been doing this since 1994, and we help out businesses that aren't able to get access to capital from traditional means, banks or credit unions. So our loans range from as little as $500 up to $500,000. We can help a wide range of businesses there. In response to COVID, our focus has shifted a little bit. So we've been working on some quite big projects in some of our markets that include grants as well as our PPP program. I think Rex did a great presentation earlier explaining PPP, but I did want to let everyone know that we are open to PPP applications currently, and it has been extended to August 8th. We'll probably stop taking applications around the first of the month just so we can make sure we can get to all the applications that are in. So if you have a need for PPP and you're not able to get it from your lender, I'd recommend checking out our website and go ahead and applying with us. We have been very successful in getting PPP applications out. With that being said, we are working on some grants in some markets, but we have also started to open up our traditional lending. And so we are doing that slowly, and that's something that we are currently doing in the greater San Marcos market. Is we are looking at SBA microloans right now. Those are typically $20,000 and below, and our SBA 7A Community Advantage loans. Those are going to be from $50,000 to $250,000. So what we look at, well, I guess I'll leave it there for any questions on what those programs might mean.
Well, if we could go ahead and let Katherine talk a little bit about what's different with PeopleFund. Katherine, would you like to share?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Like Jonathan, I don't have a formal presentation, but just here to mainly answer questions about accessing capital and what resources we have available right now. PeopleFund is very similar to LiftFund. We've been around since 1994, specifically helping the small business community access capital if they weren't able to access that from a bank or a traditional lending institution. I like to say that we bridge the gap between predatory lenders, so your payday lenders, your cash advances, your title loans, and traditional lending to make lending affordable and available for all entrepreneurs regardless of opportunity. So at PeopleFund, we really focus on capital coupled with education and resources to make your business successful. Money is one part of the formula, but you need some education and extended resources to go along with that to make that money move, as we say. We have a bunch of those resources here, so I'll just cover a few of the resources that we have, both loan programs as well as technical assistance programs. Right now, we have many disaster relief programs out. And so what these are some revolving loan funds that we've established with municipalities and private foundations in order to help get funding into your hands at a very low cost. So the interest rate for the first 6 months is 0%, and we're waiving all of the payments. So we're basically paying the payments for you for the first 6 months on those loans. Interest rates after that are going to range from 5 to 12% after the 6 months, and it's just going to depend on risk and some things like that. We are also participating in the Paycheck Protection Program. So if you're unable to get assistance from your lender, you're welcome to come to LiftFund or PeopleFund, and either of us can help you out. And then we do have our traditional small business administration loans. So our loans are anywhere from $500 all the way up to $5 million, just depending on the amount that you're looking for, the business that you're trying to start, and if it's appropriate for the COVID climate, although trying to assess that is a little tricky right now, we can kind of figure out where you fit in. The last financial resource we have is our connection to some grant programs. We are working on a grant program right now with the Greater San Marcos Partnership to be able to help folks in Hays County. We also have some grant programs just in general for different municipalities, as well as some connections to grant programs in the larger metro area in Central Texas. And then finally, finishing up with some of our educational resources. Typically, we'll do workshops, although our partners have been really great about hosting most of those for us now. So right now, we're really focused on one-on-one business coaching to help folks get the disaster recovery assistance that they're really looking for. And that's pretty much where we're at. Very similar to LiftFund, we're both here to help and excited to be able to be a resource for you guys.
Great, thank you so much, Jonathan and Katherine. We are so appreciate your being here today and of course, providing the service that you do provide. This is your chance, everyone, for you to post any additional questions in the question poll or the question box. While you're doing that, I have a little poll for you that I'm going to post and give you a few seconds, if you would. So here we go. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, those of you that are participants, to answer these questions.
We do have a question from Miss Denise Bartlett. If any of the panelists would like to try and answer that. For those who can't see, it says, my business is stalling out with no capital because I'm a new business, barely a year old, tax preparer and bookkeeper whose timing was stretched and availability to the public restricted. Help.
On here. This is Carleton Smith with SCORE. I do recommend, in the situation it sounds like you're in, that you do contact us at SCORE so we can look at your situation and come up with some recommendations as to how you can move forward. Sometimes, you know, with the expertise and years of experience we got, we can find some ways that you may not have thought of. So contact us at SCORE, Austin SCORE, or go through the national website, and let's see if we can help you.
Great, thank you so much, Carleton. Okay, the poll is anonymous. In case you were worried about that, you can go ahead and answer. Give you a few more seconds. And in the poll now. Thank you so much for your feedback. We appreciate it. And of course, you're always welcome to email us. Katie, if you can put our last slide up, is that something you can do? Since I was having some trouble.
Yep.
Great. Okay, you all can see here our lineup of presenters today with their email addresses, if you'd like to take this down, as well as my email address as well. If you have feedback for us or ideas for future webinars, we'd love to hear from you. Also, if you can't write real fast and you'd like to get this information down, know that this entire presentation, as well as our other webinars, will be on our YouTube channel. And if Katie, you'd like to go ahead and change to the next slide. Here is the YouTube address. You can also find this on the GSMP website. So all of this information is available to you, and it's also a good idea for those that weren't able to make the webinar today to share these links with them so they can benefit from this good information. If there are no other questions, thoughts, we're going to sign off for today. Hope we see you next week. Thank you so very much for participating, both you, our panelists, and especially you, our participants. We thank you very much. You all take care and have a safe day.
Thank you.
Thank you.